So this effect has been used in a number of Hollywood and TV shows. It was first really seen in Sherlock, which was such. I know we've mentioned it earlier in this series with regards to transitions, but it's effects like this that were groundbreaking in Sherlock. And if I tilde this and show it you back, there's a number of effects going on here. We're tracking everything. We've got his text messages being superimposed on and actually moving with the camera to really sell it. And we have a sign on the back, totally the most accurate description of the airline that this guy is flying with right now. So let's get into it and show you exactly what techniques and how many of them are being applied to this one little clip. So to start off, we need some footage, and the footage we're going to use for this is in ArtGrid. And I love this clip. I think it tells a lot. It's in this story here. It's this guy here. So I'm in ArtGrid, and I've searched for travel, phone, and one, because you can select how many people. I just want one person, and it's this guy here, and I know it's from this. So again, this is the great thing about ArtGrid. You can, if you see a clip and you think, oh, I like that clip, but is there like a different angle or something? It's great. You can jump in and you've got different scenes from the whole like setup. So this is the clip that I've selected for this. I think we've all been in this position before, waiting. It looks like he's just sat there waiting in the airport, and he's talking to somebody. So let's get this clip down, add to cart, and let's check out and get this piece of footage. Go to my footage, and I want this, and I want it in UHD. Okay, so like we've done before, I'm going to wait until that downloads, and I'm going to put it in a folder for our project. And so here it is again in our ArtGrid folder, and I'm just going to grab it and drag it into footage in Premiere Pro. Like what we did with the previous one, because there is an element of tracking in here as well. It's this one here, and I'm going to create a sequence from the clip. So this obeys everything. Again, if we go up to sequence here and sequence settings, we can see it's 3840 by 2160. So this is 4K, and good. Happy. This is the clip I want to use. There's a little bit of movement in the camera, which is great. So we can really sell this. And yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's right click and replace with After Effects. That's where we're going. Yeah. Okay. Cracking. Good. That was for the previous thing. I had to clear up some space, but good. This is where we want to be. So firstly, now that this is in After Effects, I want to get the graphics that we're going to be putting here. And to get that, I am using Motion Array, but not Motion Array built into Premiere Pro. They don't currently yet have a plugin that works in After Effects, but they do have a download area that is also included in the subscription. Don't forget that there's links in the course outline where you can get to all of these. And I've just searched for text message in presets in Adobe After Effects presets, and I've come up with, I'm looking at this one first and foremost. That looks quite good. It looks like there's a lot of things you can do with this, so that's great. And let's have a look at that. It's okay. Maybe. No, I like this. I like the look of this. So let's download that. And as you can see, it's downloading right here in a zip file. So there's going to be a lot more in this than we need just for this one thing. But this is now downloading as effectively an asset. And I have another folder on my computer on another hard drive, which is titled Assets. And if I grab that and bring that over, these are all my assets. I have so many, and I'm going to put this in. I'm going to put this in graphics. I think. I mean, look, there's a load. But anyway, I'm going to write show in folder, And then I'm going to double click this and bring that onto this screen. And I'm going to bring up my graphics folder. This is just purely so I know where it's going to be, because we need to install it. So I'm going to go for a new folder. I'm going to put a text message, and I'm going to go into here, select all of these and drag them into my text message folder. Now, with anything that you download from Motion Array, there's always a help. And if you double click this, there's full tutorials as to how to use it, which is brilliant. And we also have instructions. The instructions are important because what they do is they explain how to install them. And that's all these kind of links here, but it's fine. I'll show you how to install it on this. So here's After Effects, here's the text message kit, and here are all the assets. So what we need to do is we need to go into After Effects first and start this. Okay. What we can do, rather than opening it up, we can drag this into our project area, which will bring in everything. And if it doesn't link to your assets, so we need to link it, we know that we can easily come back and get this. There's possibly going to be some audio in this, and audio doesn't always come straight from After Effects to Premiere Pro, purely because there's no audio there, and After Effects won't create it after the fact. But I'll show you when we get to there how to get the text. It's probably text sound effects into Premiere Pro, but one step at a time. So this is still importing. It's obviously quite a large document. If I go back to it, let's right click that and go to properties. It's not too big, 288 meg. Yeah, it's only a few years ago. I mean, that would be a lot, but I mean, you know, times they are changing. So this is installing into After Effects. Sometimes, I mean, it goes like this. I mean, my system is a very fast system, but still, sometimes you could be running too much at a program. I'm also screen recording this as well, which isn't really going to help the graphics card, but we just give it its own time. And there we go. Okay, we're in. And this is now saying that there are certain fonts that aren't really correct. And you heard that beep there. That was after Adobe saying 3 fonts were activated. Well, there's more fonts there, but we'll see when we get to that point. So here's our text message kit right here. If we double click this, we have our edit, render, and other. So we're going to go into the edit and maybe messages, and okay, we've got a whole load here. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to check that nothing has come down here. Nope, it hasn't. That's absolutely fine. We've got conversion templates and placeholders and posts. Good. So we're not going to be posting here. We're just going to be messaging, and I'm going to go for 4 messages visible. I've already thought about the conversation I'm going to have, so we're going to go 4 messages visible. And if I'm going to tilde this, just so we can see exactly what the titles are, they're made really quite good actually. And this says we've got 4 up 3 seconds each, 4 up 3 seconds each, ascending, descending. And so if we just double click one of these and see how it looks. So if we come back, this is just giving it a bit of time to work. And we can see that there are things on here if I put our mouse around and just give it a little bit of a moment. Okay, so we've also got a bit of footage in the back to kind of give us an idea. Hey, how's it going? I'm great. Wasn't the band last time awesome? Yeah, I was really impressed. Thanks again for paying for my ticket. I owe you. So this is kind of giving you an idea. This is a full conversation. So all I want to do really is I want to get maybe the first 4. Yeah, let's get the first 4. So I'm going to get this stagger animation because this is obviously some form of controller for it. And I'm going to select right at the top and I'm going to go down there. I'm going to hold down Shift and I've copied those. Well, I've selected those. Control C to copy. Go back to our project and I'm just going to paste them in there. Now, the fact that I selected them from the top downwards is important, because they then come in top downwards. If I'd have gone from the bottom and gone up, it would have actually started from the bottom and gone the other way. It's quite important in After Effects. So if we look here, that looks good. Hey, how's it going? Okay, that's all good. And that's our conversation there. Yeah, okay. So we've got a starting point, really. If I go for stagger animation, go for position, that's just reading into there. I'm not going to do anything with that because that's a controller, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new, I'm going to create a null. So what this null is going to be, I'm going to right click and rename it, and I'm going to call it text controller. It would help if you spelled controller right. Good. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get everything other than my footage to this null. And that is because I want to affect the movement, but I don't want to move these individually. So I've now, sorry, I do this a little bit too quick, don't I? So those are all actually parented to the stagger animation. So what I'm going to do first and foremost is I'm going to select all these. I'm going to right click. I'm going to pre-compose. I'm going to move all attributes to there, and I'm going to title it text messages. Okay. So if I press OK, that's now opened a new pre-comp. Didn't need to do that. I want to go back to here. And as you can see, this is effectively a nest. Remember, like the nests in Premiere Pro? That's kind of like what that is here. And as you can see, nothing is parented to anything. So we can grab this and we can parent the text messages to the text controller. Why is that important? Well, because now as we move this null around, oh, that's scaling, well done. If I move this null around, we can move the text messages, and it would be more believable if we've got the text messages over here. Okay, so if we play this back, just press 0. Hey, how's it going? We're skipping frames a little bit here, just purely because, well, yeah, it's it's a little bit slow because it's trying to work out all this. But you know what? Let's get our conversation going first. Let's double click into here. And let's zoom in a little bit, not too much, and let's change this text. First and foremost, we're going to grab this and we're going to double click because we want to affect this. And now we're going even further down. So as you can see, this animates in and then animates out. That's it. But as you can see, these are text. So we can show them, and we can show read at whatever. We're not going to do that. We're going to say, hey, how's it going? And we're going to click in here. And we're going to leave, hey, how's it going? Because he's messaging someone to say, how are they going? Because he's got time. But his name's not Thomas Kovar. His name is, we're going to call him Clark Kent. Clark Kent, because he's actually Superman. And people don't know. They just didn't know he was Clark Kent. And I click out, and that's now updated that. We could change the time, but I'm going to leave the time as it is. So that then comes in, hey, how's it going? From Clark Kent. And who is he messaging? Well, who is Clark Kent's partner? That's Lois Lane. So we're going to go back to our text messages, and we're going to go to the next text message, which is this next one down. And we're going to click in, we're going to double click into here. And we're going to say, well, Lois is great, but I'm great. Have you ordered yet? Question mark. This obviously is an update. We need to click out, and it's come up like that. And we know that's not Chelsea. This is Lois. So we're just going to say that's Lois. Click out, and that's all updated. Okay, so I'm great. Have you boarded yet? So if we come back to our text messages, and we're going to go to the third one, and Clark Kent, we know that's his name. Clark don't know if I've spelled that right. Kent? I did not. That's not how you spell Clark. We're going to go in there and delete the T. Click out. That should update. And we're going to say flight delayed stuck here again. Click out, and that should update. Good. And now we can see that's dropped down to the next line. We don't want that, so I'm going to go to here and just drag out this box a little bit. No, we're not. And I've spelled stuck wrong. We're going to keep here. There we go. I want to keep the text tool, and that's how I want. And we're going to have to spell stuck correctly. That will be better. Click out there. That's good. And I'm just going to move this. I've got this highlighted, so I'm just using the arrow keys on my keyboard. Flight delayed, stuck here again. Like it happens all the time. So if I come back to my text messages, which are up here, and this is just in the pre-composition, and play that back, we've got our text messages coming in anytime soon. Oh, there we are. They're down here. Hey, how's it going? I'm great. Have you boarded yet? Flight delayed, stuck here again. He's gutted. Absolutely gutted. So Control S. I'm happy with that. That's the conversation that we're going to have. And now we step back to where we were, which was this project here. Here's our mate. And there's the text conversation. So, I mean, this looks all fine. If I Control S that, go back to Premiere Pro, and if I pre-render this, if I play this back, I mean, that works. Tilde this. Looks okay. But I want to make it that little bit more believable. So what I'm going to do is, remember this text controller that we had? Well, we've moved everything up here, and this is the beauty of nulls. We can select this text message pre-comp is currently being affected by the null. But if I take that off, they stay where they're at. They stay where we've already moved them before we took off the null. And there's a reason for this, because I'm going to bring this null over. No, not that. I'm going to select the null, and I'm going to bring this null over here. And I'm going to do something a little bit clever. I'm going to get right at the beginning here, and we're going to track the movement of this. Now, there's not much movement from him. He doesn't really move at all. But we want to kind of place this in the scene. So what we're going to do is we're going to track some movement of something here kind of close to him. And I'm thinking I might track somewhere around his bag. So that's what I'm going to do. So what we do, go for tracker, and we select the clip that we're going to be tracking, and we go for track motion. We want to track the motion of this. And we have our familiar friend, the track point. Zoom in and kind of move it over a little bit. Spacebar, drag along, and let's select, I'm going to select this corner right here. Why this corner? Well, it's a definite corner, and also it's a massively contrasting bit. I know that that is literally going to track nice and easy. I can see. You can see that there's the contrasting colors. We're laughing. Those boxes are pretty much exactly what we need them to be. And we're going to track the position and the rotation. And to make that easier, we get a second point. And I'm just going to grab this point and put it to a similar point over here. I know that these two bits are always in shot. So that gives me a massively accurate track. Don't forget, I'm going to go into my options, and I'm going to say stop tracking after 80%, just as normal, and hit OK, and then just track forward. And this will track nice and easy. See how they're just literally sticking to it. There's absolutely no deviation from the plan. A little bit of movement there, but that's absolutely fine. It's just between a couple of pixels. And we just let that track all the way through. They're still in frame. And the importance of this is that although the camera isn't really rotating, it may be rotating a little bit. This might be a little bit overkill. We probably don't need to really track the rotation, but we will anyway, just because it's an easy clip to track. And it's only a 15-second clip. So yeah, nearly there now. And we are done. Now what do we do? Well, we need to set this to go somewhere. Just like in the Mocha stuff where we created those tracking points and then we applied those to the placeholder. If you haven't seen that, why are you skipping ahead? Go back to the tracking composite chapter. I think it's the one before this one. And you'll see what I mean with regards to that. So what we need to do now is we need to feed this information somewhere. It's okay, it's all in here, but we want to feed it to somewhere. Now at this point we will create a null, or we create a null before, but we already have a null. It's here. So we might as well use it. And it's already called text controller, which is technically what we're going to be doing with it. So I want to edit the target, and our target already comes up, text controller, because more often than not, the tracker is looking for a null object to push all that information to. So we're going to say, okay. And then we're going to apply. You always need to remember to hit apply. So we click apply. And we want to apply the dimensions to the X and the Y. So the X going across, Y going up and down, and press OK. And that has all our information. And as you can see, it's opened up all the information here. Don't need to be getting too bogged down with all that. We just have that information. But hold on, the text messages, they're kind of still not moving with all this. Well, what we need to do is we need to tell the text messages to follow the text controller. And how do we do that? We just either drop that down and click text controller, or the much more fun way, I grab the pick whipping tool and put it onto the text controller. You can see how that's changed there. And now if we take it back and press 0 on our number pad, see how they're now moving with it. I know it's only subtle. Let me just Control S this. An easier way for me that I find is if I bring it back into Premiere Pro and just give it a quick pre-render in Premiere Pro. It just helps me see everything. And I think we'll do a final little touch in Premiere Pro just to really sell it, because he is quite far away. But let's allow that to do its thing. Good, happy with that. Let's go back. You see how the text messages are moving with him. It's almost like they're in the scene. And they keep on moving, so we're going to need to get them out at that point. But I'm happy with that track. Yeah, that's good. Control S. And what I want to do now, actually, I'm going to do it within here. And I'm going to create a new null. But before I do that, I'm going to pre-compose all of this. So I'm going to pre-compose. I don't want to open the new composition, move everything. That's cracking, go. And now we just have one thing to worry about. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm going to create another null. Well, I could create another null which will control all this, but I have this. It's effectively a nest. So if I go scale with the S on my keyboard and then hold Shift and hold P, I can then scale up a little bit and then maybe bring him down a little bit. That's too far. And move that over a little bit. I'm just going to add a little bit of movement. I'm going to add a motion, a position and a scale keyframe there. I'm going to bring that to the beginning. You don't want to go too far because you can go way off. Just bring it to the beginning. And then I'm going to scale it back a little bit. So if we go to, it's 125, just going to go 110. And if I right click the position and just reset, that takes it up there. I know I've still got a little bit of room to move, but it just lets me know where my boundaries are. I'm just going to grab these keyframes and bring them all the way to the end. So now, as well as the natural movement in the camera, we also have a bit of movement. We'll see once we pre-render. And all I want to do now is I want to stop that there. Stuck here again. Okay. And what I'm going to do is, as that starts to move up, I'm going to set a keyframe on the messages. I'm going to press P on the position, and I'm going to keyframe that. And as that goes up, it stops there, doesn't it? So I'm actually going to help it on its way and move that up. Then I'm going to select these two keyframes, F9 on the keyboard to easy ease, and then they're just gone. As that goes up, that should then fly off the screen. Done. Happy. Control S, save that out, come back to our guy here, which this should now turn red again because we've changed things in here. Again, because I'm screen recording, it may slow it down. There we go red. We just pre-compose that out again. All this is really checking that everything is fine, everything works, and just everything is believable. And the easiest way to do that is to be able to really pre-render and see how it all is looking. So yeah, that's good. Come on, hurry up. Thank you. Go back. And if we tilde this and play him back, hey, how's it going? I'm great. Have you boarded? See how it's all moving up with him? Cool. Now, obviously this is shaking a little bit. If you got a better track, it tracked quite well. Maybe the movement wasn't really needed. But yeah, it works. It works okay. Do you know what? Let's find out. I want to get that text controller, and I'm going to get rid of that track from there so it's not moving with it anymore. I'm going to go and get rid of that text controller, come here, and I'm going to track this again. So we're going to track the motion. So hopefully it's overriding the other trackers. Okay, so that tracker is there. So I'm going to Control Z and see this tracker. If you ever get a wrong track and you don't want it, I'm just going to select that tracker and press delete on the keyboard. And then I'm going to track motion again. We now have tracker 1 again. So tracker 1, the original tracker 1 doesn't exist anymore. I'm just going to come down here, and what else do we want to track? Are we going to track him again? Do you know what? Let's track the corner of this this chair, this seat. I'm happy with that. In fact, let's get right back to the beginning of the footage. That would help. Just do it just for ease, really. I'm happy with that. Position, forget about the rotation. Let's track forward and see how well that does. Well, that's moving quite well. Sometimes with the rotation, if it's only a tiny little bit, they can kind of confuse themselves. But this looks to be tracking quite well. Happy with that. A little bit of jittering again, but it's really not that much. So that should work better. And the thing is, everything we've done up until this point isn't wasted. All we're doing is changing the position. Remember how we've animated it out and all that? That's all kept. It's absolutely fine. All we now want to do is we want to edit our target, and we don't have a null. So if you cancel there, right click and go null. Just going to leave it as a null 79. And again, edit target. And now we have the option to go to null 79. I've created a lot of nulls in this project. Press OK and then apply X and Y. Happy with that. And now let's see if that track is any better. Bearing in mind that the starting position will be wherever we had the starting position at first. So at first text will come there. That's good. As you can see, we still have our text, but our null is moving around. So we know that that has all the tracking data there. Happy with that. Let's just go right back to the, well, close to the beginning. Kind of, I want that maybe a little bit lower. I want to go to that position and just bring it down just a little bit. Let's see where we're at there. Cool, happy with that. So that's the point where we want to bake in, and we just grab our picking tool and we pick that to the null, parent it to the null, come back, save that. I'm just going to go back into here. No, I'm not. I'm going to wait for that to save. This is belt and braces stuff. And I mean, as you can see, you can go as minute as you like, really. And that looks to be running okay. Let's go back to here. And yeah, Come on. Pre-render that. So that all works. That's all moving with it. It's so subtle, but it's great because it's those little subtleties that really sell an effect. And finally, we're going to use the trick that we had before, and we're going to create the final bit of this effect, which is to get this bad boy. We're just going to duplicate this because I want it for the data. So we're going to right click and it's not there. We just literally Control and D to duplicate. We're going to come down here and we're going to remove the tracker. So this just is exactly what it is. And we're going to go to Effect, Boris Effects Mocha, and we're going to open Mocha for this. Okay, so we're now back in Mocha and we've got this whole space to ourselves. We're just going to track this back wall. Now there's very little to track about this back wall. So let's see how well it does. We're going to get our X-spline tool and we're going to draw just a line straight away across the back here. We kind of want that. I can see here that we've got a wall going straight up and that could be something that we could use. In fact, let's undo that and let's come down from the wall first. In fact, I'm going to go out to the wall. I'm going to go from here and I'm going to go straight along because that's probably our main horizontal, and click the wall, go up here. So I've got that perpendicular line going straight up. And then I'm going to come across and kind of eyeball this as best as I can. And that's probably about here. Okay, right click to close that up. And let's see if we can track. I'm going to track this backwards first, purely because I don't have many frames to go. Don't need perspective because this is what I was talking about in the previous one. This is a wall that is straight onto us. So I'm going to track that backwards. That seems to be working okay. It's grabbing onto that, which is great. A little bit of movement there. Hopefully that'll hold. I do hope that will hold. Yeah, it looks okay. Now, because we tracked backwards, we can see that this has gone blue. So that's complete tracking. I'm going to come back to this little green flag. I've gone one frame too far. I'm going to go back to that green flag and we're just going to track forwards. And this is moving a little bit. It's a little bit annoying, but hopefully we'll be okay. As you can see, we didn't put up the plane because I didn't really feel we needed to. But this looks to be doing all right. We'll come back when this is finished tracking. Okay, good. So that took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but that has now looks like it's tracked. And just scrubbing through, looks okay. Let's do the little trick with the Mocha logo and let's just play that and see how that looks. Doesn't really seem to be too much movement. Drag that through. Movement away from what we want. That's good. Good, good, good. Happy with that. Control S. X that out. And now, what do? We come down to the tracking data. We've still got this top one. And we want to create that track data. Good. Cog is turned on for layer 2. Press OK. That's good. And then we right click, new and solid. We'll leave it at that red. Quite like that red. Boom. And then what we do is we come back to the clip that we have the tracking data from. And this is medium red solid 2. And we select our output to that and then apply the export. And that's now up here. And if we play it back, I'm happy with that. What I do want to do is I want to size it up a little bit. So let's go scale and let's go a bit bigger. Yeah. And now we're going to press Shift P. So I want to move it down a bit. Now, sometimes this can really affect the tracking because we've moved around with scale. Let's see if that kind of holds with it. Doesn't really. So what we have to do is we kind of need to work with what we have, which is kind of that. If I move the position off a little bit, will that be okay? Yeah, that works okay. And as you can see, this is now behind the text messages because text messages are on top. If I brought that to the top, it would cover the text messages. So that's in there. That's it can be anywhere really. What I'm going to do is I'm going to right click this and pre-compose. Remember, leave everything out, and we're going to say wall art. Press OK. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into this wall art, and instead of this, I'm going to write a bit of text, and we're going to call this the worst. If I could spell, that'd be good. Worst airline ever. And click that out. And we're going to go to my favorite thing. That's no way. By the way, I had caps lock on there. And for some reason, I don't know why, but if caps lock is on, it stops everything refreshing in After Effects. This isn't anything new. This is something that has been around in After Effects forever. So just make sure your caps lock isn't on when you don't need it to be on. And worst airline ever. We're going to select paragraph. We're going to put it centered. We're going to align. We're going to center and center. And then we're going to come back and we're just going to size up this text to about there. We're going to turn off the solid. And if we go back to our comp, that looks about right. We're going to make this just a little bit more convincing. We're going to turn on. Okay, so that's on. So we've got our continued rasterization there. And I'm going to find our image again. Where is our grungy concrete? Oh, I've moved it. I see. This is the mistake. What a mistake. It's a maker. I'm going to replace that footage. There we are. We're in here. I don't know why I unlinked. Maybe I unlinked it by accident. And then we're going to bring in our grungy thing again. And remember what we did? We go to Track Matte and Luma. That looks awful, which is exactly what we want. And worst airline ever. I just want to get back into that wall art, and I just want to size it up even more. But what do I want? Do I want it taller, or do I want it taller as well? So if we go into the text and go for scale, I want to size it all the way up as big as I can, and then I'm going to unlink and I'm going to take it a bit taller. And if we come back into here now, that looks better. And if we play that through, that works really well. And you see how the wall art is there right behind him. If we want to put maybe a little bit of, although you can't really see it on here, if we go to Effect, go to Perspective, drop shadow, and if we turn back on this just so we can see, there is actually a slight drop shadow here. We take up the opacity to 100 and we move the distance, we'll be able to see it. And if we add just a little bit of softness, turn back off that solid, come back to here, and there it is right behind him. So he's there, text messaging away, and we'll pre-compose this, we'll pre-render it, and we'll put it back in here and see how it plays. And now if we play this back through, we have the tracking movement, we have the sign on the wall, we have his texts going up and down. You see how the opacity is slightly there? So it looks like it's being superimposed over it. It's being tracked to him or close to him. So the camera is there, all kind of, yeah, moving with that. And also we have a slight zoom out to place him right in that spot. That's so many different techniques, once again, in this one clip.